I'll get invited by Todd and to express what I've seen, what I'm seeing going with OpenStack. So I bring up two major points here, besides adding some security in what I see in a Red Hat environment. Things that I would say since ML2, the plugin, were not possible before. So we'll see a couple of those options and basically talk about the Red Hat deployments, how I see it, what we do, and how we're going to basically help this proof of concept. In the last 8 months, I have seen banks, telecom, every type of customers that trying to implement OpenStack. It's really, really hot, and there's things that they cannot be done. They were not able to be done before, and there's things that right now are shaping up, okay? So I put three major one over here. I put an OEM, and the OEM is an exciting project from the Bay Area that Red Hat is working on, and it's a very innovative that they haven't seen it before. So, and then I will cover how we deploy and some options at that point. So, first of all, telco companies, they're all over. We're starting with AT&T, Verizon, anybody has a cell phone, that they want to basically trying to leverage, which was all hardware before. Right now they see this OpenStack and they said, okay, what can we do? What can we leverage? How can we make it better? So every single company in general, okay, is basically focusing to leverage this technology. Banks, same thing. I'm not talking about banks on the front end, but also on the back end. There's all those type of banks. You have Wells Fargo, Bank of America. For example, I have my little bank, Telco. Any banks that basically is very big is important, right? In general, okay? So I am not saying which project we are working on it, but there's all those type of banks that are basically looking into OpenStack. Partnership, and then deploy basically OpenStack. Now, the most important thing that I've seen, and people are talking about Red Hat in general, and they're focusing on RDO. RDO is basically the Red Hat upstream. I'm working with the Tiger team for the proof of concept. So basically we are using something that is a little behind what RDO is. It's about 6 weeks behind because we are testing everything on the back end. And it's basically an enterprise solution where we're going to this company, we already know that everything is working. So it's a big difference. And what a lot of people say, okay, well, we're going to use RDO, and the first thing that they're doing is disabling SE Linux. Okay? SE Linux is because, it doesn't work. So must be SE Linux. That's not the cause of why it's not working. So it's really important that you do not disable SE Linux. Find out what command is needed in order to make it work, because otherwise it's not working. Okay? So that's the biggest challenge that I have seen. So in telecom world, all those telecom companies are trying to leverage more virtualization. The important thing here is I've seen some telecom that basically want to leverage Neutron solution, and Neutron is not up to the gauge or is not up to the level that it needs to perform, or if it performs, it doesn't fit of what they're asking for. So they want to make, say, specific VLANs inside the OpenStack virtual machine. Well, and they don't want to have any interaction with OVS, because OVS will retag those VLANs. So basically, in a lot of those scenarios, And right now with ML2, there's an opportunity to run multiple plugins at the same time. And basically we have specific trunks that are going directly to the VM, and they're not going through OVS. And then we have OVS on the other end with ML2. So you run multiple plugins at the same time that allows you to do what NFE is looking for. So the telco company is experiencing the heat that was like 2 years ago in an OpenStack that everybody and still going. But right now, because there's a lot of options available and Neutron is trying to adopt that, Cisco is working on some of those plugins, Juniper is working on plugins, so everybody's trying to look and make Neutron workable. The advantages right now that we have VXLANs, so you have the option to use tenant in VXLAN or GRE or even VLANs. It's a very big situation. Okay, so because you can isolate even more, and the security plays a big role. Things that you want to see, because some of those telecom companies are subscribing other telecom company, or they're providing, and they don't want to basically make sure that they are not interacting with each other, and so they can segregate those by those technology. So that's an important step going forward. And hopefully, with all this new company that are trying to deploy and that are trying to develop new plugins for Neutron, we can make it happen. Okay, but that's very, very important at that point. Things that also important here is there is no direct access to the world except from a specific centralized location. So they have basically a jump box. So you have to log into the jump box, and then from the jump box you have access. So if you secure, in that case, you secure your jump box, then your perimeter at that point is going to be okay. But, again, it's very, very challenging at that point. Banks. A lot of banks say, okay, I want to use Windows, I want to use Linux, I want to use different flavor of Linux, and they want to use their version. Sometimes when you go into this big corporation, they have the gurus that have basically created these images, and they may not work because maybe those images have been created a year ago or 2 years ago. And because OpenStack itself is evolving so fast, for the enterprise level, maybe those don't fit right away. So you have to tweak a lot of those environment. Also, in this specific field, in the banks, one of the most important things is not because they want to migrate from VMware, is because they want to work with VMware and OpenStack. So they want to have multiple solutions and that they can use at the same time. And that's the most important part, and this most challenging part, is how to integrate OpenStack to basically leverage both technology. In one of the projects we have worked, we had challenges because they had storage that was not really up to the level. They had a driver issue. Oh, it's OpenStack problem. Oh, it's Glance problem. Oh, it's Cinder problem. So it came down that the driver for that specific device wasn't working. So they had to update. So we had to wait 2 weeks in order to get the right driver, because you fix it, test it, didn't work, look at the debug mode. And then when you have all this VMware and you have all this, project into the field, it's not the same as you see in your home office that you say, okay, I have 3 compute nodes, I have a Neutron server, and I have a controller. Completely different. Okay, that's when you go to real production, things pop up, and customer can basically get a little heated, right? So it is important that we also look at that. So the OpenStack community can help to make this to the next level. Okay, so very, very important. Then OEM. One of the most important portion of this OEM is what we're trying to do is because of scalability. They had up to, I don't know, about 1,000 machines at this point, but Neutron wasn't scalable enough, so we are basically using Nova Network. Now, everybody says, oh, Nova Network is under, end. Okay, so there's a depreciation at that point. But if you're looking for high availability, if you're looking for more security purposes, if you're looking for simplicity, Nova Network is still the best. One of the companies that we are migrating over 3,000 computes at this point, and we are basically using Nova Network with HA. Everybody wants HA. HA is okay, but we also need to understand how we can leverage the HA technology. Okay, so a lot of people are looking to say, yes, I want to do a proof of concept, but when we are going to do the proof of concept, how we can go to the next level. Okay, so those basically this 10U box that I'm working right now on a POC for writing their architecture document, and there's some paper right there or some icons. It is very, very awesome. You can basically say, execute a command from the command line that have a Python library and access the BIOS. You can basically modify or secure the BIOS from the command line. You can reboot the box and go into the BIOS, make all the changes that you need from the command line. I had never seen anything like that yet. So awesome technology right here in the Bay Area, and it is super, super fast. Okay, so right now I'm working only on a portion of that. I only have 16 compute nodes, but 16 compute nodes in a proof of concept to see how it's going to work is awesome. And they're super fast. The other thing that this allows you to do from the command line here, basically if you see those orange one, they're storage. You can provision storage, whether it's going to be Swift or Ceph or whatever. You can basically provide that on the fly. Okay, so that's very, very new way to make it happen. Okay. Then, before I go there, deployments. Right now, because of Rail 7, so how many of you are familiar with Rail 7? Okay, so Red Hat 7 is out. We are supporting Icehouse, so basically OSP 5. It is released also on 6X. So Icehouse right now on Red Hat, you have the option to either deploy on 6.5 or 7. But the only deployment tools that are basically, unless you do manual installation, we're using PackStack. We're going to announce another tool called Foreman. Okay, Foreman will allow you to have a GUI interface, a live CD that you can boot it up, and you can provision your instances, and also allow you to do HA from the UI. This is a transition from what we've seen for OOO. So some of you have heard about OOO, so that the end goal is to use OOO for all the services. Okay. And the last slide that I have is a promotion for this meetup. So if you register, you can take the exam. There's going to be online CL to 10. So you basically, if you want to take advantage of this promotion, that's the URL over there. And it will give you, a certification. So basically, if you want to get certified, you will recognize, you have 90 days to take the online training, take the exam, and get certified. So that's something that I wanted to share with you. I'm open to question. If you want to know anything else, I'm pretty much ready to answer the question that you have.
What is this promotion for?
It's a certification, so a Red Hat certification.
Just for the certificate.
Correct.
The fabric compute hardware, who was?
I can't say the name, sorry. It will be announced, so it's just something that we're working on it. So.
Outside of this specific hardware piece, do you see anyone looking at using hardware acceleration for Open vSwitch for improved performance? There's a couple of companies who make chips like Tylera to support this stuff. Do you see it catching on any popularity in places like banks or production environment?
Yes, so ODL, okay, so it's one of the things that pops up all the time. There's the commercial version that a lot of companies are asking for, 6-win. So that's a very common, basically solution that they're looking into it. So that pops up a lot
What
during.
about but actual hardware-based chips? Have you seen any people adopting or testing that out?
I haven't seen it personally, even though I'm sure there is, but for all the POC that I have seen that I work on the last 8 months, which there are quite a few, I haven't seen that specific request yet. I'm sure they will pop up, but I haven't seen it yet.
Thanks.
So earlier you were mentioning something about triple O, right?
Triple O.
What is it?
So Triple O allows you to provide, basically what it is a provisioning tool, and allows you to provide on an upper cloud and on a lower cloud. So you can basically provide an OpenStack from the management. It's like providing a compute, right? Right now you're provisioning a compute. In that case, you provide a provisioning on the entire stack.
So in future the back stack will go away?
Pack stack will pretty much get obsolete pretty soon.
So the Triple O is OpenStack on OpenStack. There's actually a presentation from Keith Basil at
Yeah.
the Atlanta Summit on that. He's a Red Hat guy talking about OpenStack.
Yeah, it's called Tuster. That's the term, so Tuster.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, Triple O is basically OpenStack on OpenStack. That's what the Triple O terminology is.
So back stack and foreman, they'll
Eventually, but because it's not there yet, so Packstack is the term that we use right now for your OSP5 until Foreman is going to be ready for, I think next month it's going to be announced. It's going to be released. Right now it's a tech preview, so you can basically download it as a tech preview for Foreman. And the external name that is StayPuff. So if you want to look at, it's on the Git. You can download it from there. Okay. Other questions?
Thank you, Remo.
Okay.